Hi guys, my name is Barry and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be doing a review for Terrifier 2 today. Yes, of course, I done a review for this film 2 years ago and I thought it was time to revisit, especially since Terrifier 3 is just around the corner, so it makes sense to do a review for it again. And after watching it again, maybe I've got some new points to make, maybe I don't, but there are going to be spoilers in this review, guys. So if you haven't seen the film and you don't want to be spoiled, then obviously don't watch this review. However, if you don't mind spoilers, or if you have seen the movie, then continue watching. With Terrifier 2, we have an even bigger budget than we did with All Hallows Eve and Terrifier, and that's mainly due to the fact that they obviously want to do it better this time, give us a better story, but they also wanted to give us a theatrical release this time, the very first in the franchise, and I'm sure they're glad that they did because the film made over $15 million at the box office. That's absolutely incredible for a film with such a micro budget. I think my biggest shock going into Terrifier 2 before watching it, of course, was the fact that it was 2 hours and 18 minutes long. There hadn't been a horror film that was so long that I was scratching my head over since I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu, and we all know how that one worked out. So I was quite intrigued to find out if the runtime was something that was warranted, and it turns out, of course, it definitely was. Art returns yet again to stalk new people this time. He's stalking Sienna and her little brother Jonathan. The story is more coherent this time because Sienna and Jonathan aren't just new characters for Art to stalk. They're new characters that have backstories this time. They're new characters that we get interactions with and we get more of what's happening in their lives. And I think because of this, we now root for the protagonists rather than Art the Clown, the antagonist. Don't get me wrong though, because we do like Art the Clown, we still want to see Art doing his thing like he did in Terrifier 1, but just not to Sienna and Jonathan. We get some other new additions to the franchise, like that little kid clown that follows Art the Clown around. Is she real? Is she not real? Because she can appear to certain people and she can disappear and not appear to anyone. So we believe that she's also supernatural, just like Art. Sienna is one of those strong badasses that we do love in horror films. She makes her own costumes and she's got that relationship with her little brother Jonathan that we all have with her siblings, and that's what I like about their relationship is it's realistic. She hates Jonathan, but she also loves Jonathan because he's her little brother and she will do anything for him when push comes to shove. Although the story was better, when I say more coherent, it was coherent in terms of the backstories with the characters, but it's still got a simple plot as well. It's about Art the Clown going around stalking and killing people going to Halloween parties, costume parties. So it is very basic in terms of that, but in terms of the characters, we've got more backstory with the characters, including Art the Clown. Everyone in this one is more three-dimensional. There were some strange choices that I still question today in terms of the supernatural elements. I don't mind Art the Clown being supernatural, but there were scenes where we've got a dagger involved, for example, that becomes one of the tools in order to defeat Art the Clown. How did that happen? How did it become that way? We just don't know. There was an almost 10-minute segment featuring Sienna having this dreamlike sequence that makes sense now, but at the time, I'm like, why is this dream sequence so long? And it's just to build up that foreshadowing that this dagger is going to be very important later on in the movie. But I also guess that if we're going to get those supernatural elements, it only makes sense to have that because Art the Clown himself is not human. He's supernatural. Remember that Dawn kill from Terrifier 1 that we all thought couldn't be topped? Well, in comes Ali. Sienna has friends, Ali and Brooke, and those characters I actually really liked. I was invested in those characters as well because they also have three-dimensional aspects to them, and I think that's why it's good that Damien Leone built up the characters first before they killed them. Now, Brooke died in a really horrendous fashion, but I think the way Ali died was probably the worst way possible that anybody could have ever died in a horror film. I do believe that watching this scene, I had to look away again. I watched it for the first time a couple of years ago and I kind of looked away. This one, I watched it more because I knew what was happening. But I still had to look away and wince a little bit because I'm like, oh my Jesus, it was a horrendous moment. It totally topped the kill from Dawn in Terrifier 1. Now, dare I say it, can they top the Ali kill in Terrifier 3? I'm saying nothing. They probably will. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do to try and top that, because this scene was disgusting. There was some genuinely creepy but funny moments in this film, like the scene in the store. And that's props to Damien Leone, because not only does he understand that there were some issues with the first Terrifier movie, the story itself, and Art the Clown not having too much to do. In this one, he made Art the Clown more funny, but also more creepy and scary at the same time, and more menacing. How do you do that? Well, it's up to the director to do that, and he definitely done that, because I feel like Art is definitely more three-dimensional in this one, because he's got more of a backstory. We know he's definitely supernatural. He's funny, he's comedic when he wants to be, but he's also scary when he wants to be, and that's props to Damien Leone. But it's also props to David Howard Thornton. I did mention in my review for All Hallows Eve that Mike Gianelli, who played Art the Clown, was decent. He was good, but there's something about David Howard Thornton, especially playing Art for the second time in a feature movie, that he's progressing as an actor, and also Art the Clown is progressing as a character. After some gruesome deaths throughout the film, we then go back to this cat and mouse chase, only this time it's between three people. We've got Art the Clown chasing Sienna and Jonathan, and I really love the whole never die attitude with Sienna, doing anything she can to protect her little brother, trying to kill Art the Clown. That's when the supernatural elements come back to it, because Art eventually looks like he kills Sienna, but then this dagger gives her a second lease of life to be able to defeat Art the Clown. For a film that I went into thinking I was going to want Art the Clown to kill everyone, I was wrong, because I wanted Sienna to defeat Art the Clown. I still don't know what to make of the finale, because part of me wanted to believe that all of this supernatural thing was like a metaphor for just trying to defeat Art, but it was clear to see that it wasn't just a metaphor when Sienna was drowning and her wound healed up and then the dagger was lighting up, and that's how she defeated Art. It was cool to see, but I feel like it kind of was sprung on me. Obviously, she had that 10-minute dream sequence, but I think if they sprinkled some of this throughout the film, it would be more acceptable at the end of it. But I still felt like it was sprung out of nowhere. It was an enjoyable scene, but I just felt like, oh, we're getting even more supernatural elements in this one, which makes me believe that Terrifier 3 is going to go way beyond that. In the end, Art dies yet again, of course, or does he? Because we have a post-credit scene where we see Victoria back again. She's still nuts. She's in an insane asylum and she looks pregnant, and then she starts giving birth to what could only be described as Art the Clown's head. I like the score in the first Terrifier movie, but this one was even better because we get more official synthwave scores from artists like The Midnight. Practical effects were off the charts. I didn't think they could outdo what they did in Terrifier 1. However, I think they stepped it up in every way possible. I think there's some of the best practical effects I've ever seen, and that includes up against films like An American Werewolf in London and The Thing. I think the acting was slightly better in Terrifier 2 than it was in Terrifier 1, but I think what elevates it even more is Lauren LaVera's performance as Sienna. Like I said, she was incredible in this film. I think that David Howard Thornton was also better in this one because he had the second crack at the whip as playing Art the Clown, so no doubt he will be better, or even better, in Terrifier 3. For a long film, for a film that's 2 hours and 18 minutes, I don't think it felt like that. It didn't drag in whatsoever. I thought it was going to drag in, but it doesn't, because each segment of parts of this film were quite drawn out. But sometimes the drawn out scenes were pretty good because either they were disgustingly amazing, or there was something about Sienna that she was talking to her friends and stuff that you had to understand, because you got to remember Sienna wasn't in the first one, so she had to get that time to get her character built up, and they definitely used that runtime perfectly. At the end of the day, guys, I got what I wanted and more. For Terrifier 1, I thought it was a good film, but I wanted a story. I wanted characters to get behind. And what did Damien Leone give us for Terrifier 2? The exact same for Terrifier 1, only bigger and better in terms of Art the Clown. And he improved on that storytelling because we got a better story, a more coherent story, and more three-dimensional characters. So Damien Leone gave us everything, or gave me everything that I wanted to see in Terrifier 1, and he brought that forward to Terrifier 2. So I think that Terrifier 2 was infinitely better than Terrifier 1. So what are your thoughts on Terrifier 2, guys? Do you think it was an improvement over Terrifier 1? Leave your comments down below, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in